Good morning. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to learn about health literacy and how it affects our customers. Health literacy is so much more than being able to read the words on a pamphlet. This introductory course will outline the importance of health literacy and why it matters to all of us. If you look at this graphic on the screen, it's from the CDC, and they state that patients with low health literacy are more likely to visit an emergency room, have more hospital stays, are less likely to follow treatment plans, and have higher mortality rates. So what is health literacy? There are many definitions of health literacy, but basically it describes an individual's ability to obtain, process, and understand basic health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions. This individual responsibility, though, is coupled with an organization's ability to align its services with the skills and abilities of the people they serve. It is just as important for the patient to be able to understand their health information as it is for the hospital to help the patient understand. Patients are responsible for finding information and services to help them make good health decisions. In turn, the provider organization has a responsibility to help them find that information. Patients should willingly communicate their needs and preferences, while a health literate organization will communicate about health and health care and understand how to provide useful information to the customer. A patient must understand the choices, what can happen as a result of that choice, and what all that information means. A health literate organization will attempt to understand what patients are explicitly and implicitly asking for. And lastly, with all of that information and services available, patients must then decide what will meet their needs and preferences and then act. Meanwhile, a provider must decide which information and services will be most beneficial for different situations so that patients can act. So why is it important? Of the 750 people that live in Brownville, Texas, many are Asian, Black, and Hispanic. 35% of our population are foreign-born, and they speak a language other than English at home. The median household income is $35,000 a year. 30% of our residents didn't graduate from high school. These two groups are most likely to experience limited literacy skills. It is up to us as an organization to assist our patients with their healthcare needs. So how do we get there? We will address two key concepts of health literacy: how to address language and cultural differences using a telephone service, and we will stress the importance of patients asking us, the healthcare professional, questions. Language Line Solutions is a company with over 34 years of experience in providing comprehensive language access programs to limited English proficient individuals. They state that they can increase patient satisfaction scores and facilitate readmission reductions. Addressing language and cultural differences at all levels of planning is a part of curating a health literate organization. The National Patient Safety Organization created an educational program geared towards helping patients to make them more comfortable with asking their doctors questions about their diagnosis, prescriptions, etc. This program encourages patients and their families or caregivers to ask 3 questions to gain a better understanding of their condition and what is the importance of their tests. So first up, language and cultural differences. Begin to think about the ideas that you may have to help us reach the diverse populations that we see every day. In order to better serve our community, the first step we should take would be adding new signage and posters that are more inclusive. Displaying artifacts and signs that have been translated into other languages will go a long way into making patients feel comfortable. A simple greeting in their language is a great gesture. Secondly, it is important that the information we get from our patients is correct. We will begin with enlisting the services of Language Line Solutions. They will both translate signs and interpret for our patients with limited English skills. Many times, patients will bring in a family member to help interpret, but with the telephonic interpreter services, we can be sure our message is clear. This will help reduce patient errors and lead to reduced readmission rates caused by patient error. In a few weeks, we will invite Language Line in to provide training for the staff. Secondly, patients must be willing to ask questions. It's as simple as that. To better serve our patients, we'll begin to invite questions beginning with open-ended questions. We'll listen actively and reflectively without interrupting our patient. But the most important part is the Integrate Ask Me 3 education program. Again, it encourages patients to ask their healthcare provider 3 simple questions. What is my main problem? What do I need to do? And why is it important for me to do this? So let's practice. But first, let's watch this quick video.
Hi, I'm Cassie,
And I'm Blair.
and today we're on the streets of New York interviewing people about their health literacy. Can you describe to me what hypertension is?
I'm guessing it's when you're really hypertense. I have no idea.
No, but it sounds bad.
I don't know that.
Hypertension would be overactiveness in the muscles.
So is it when you stress a muscle or something like that?
No, actually in the mind, maybe. Hypertension.
Hypertension is like a mental disorder.
I don't have it though.
To be treated with the proper medicine.
Hypertension would be overactive stressfulness.
I don't know what medicine it is. Maybe Haldol, Prozac, Prolixin, something like that.
Do you know what angina is?
Angina. I don't know, but it sounds pretty cool. No, I don't know. I don't have a clue what angina is.
What is it?
No.
Sounds like something familiar, but I don't know.
Do you know what a stethoscope does?
Is it the same thing as a microscope, or is it a totally different thing?
Nope.
No.
What's the first word that comes to mind when you think of your relationship with your doctor?
I lie.
Difficult. Brief. Sometimes they don't listen to what you're saying, or that they go so quick that you don't understand what they're saying.
The doctors don't spend enough time with the patients that come in.
He never spends enough time listening to what I have to say.
Doctors do not communicate with me enough. Because I ask him every time, what's the matter with me? He said, Jason, you're crazy. I went to my doctor and said, no one takes me serious. And he said, next.
They listen to your input in the beginning to figure out what the problem is, but after that, I don't think they care about what you think.
I'd like to see it more honest, open communication.
I don't think they always explain it to the patient in the same way that the patient would understand. Pro-doctor, but everybody is not the same level, and sometimes I think they need to explain it a little simpler.
They went to college, they went through so much school, and they do not communicate. Obviously not.
Although this video is meant to entertain, it demonstrates some pretty serious situations out there. How many of you have experienced patients just like the people in the video? How many of you have ever felt like the people in the video? I think it's important to put ourselves in their place. In this next group exercise, we will play out a few scenarios happening in homes and doctors' offices every day. It is my hope that the next few scenarios will help you all understand the importance of good communication skills from the patient and the health professional. So for these next few exercises, we'll need 2 cell phones, a white coat, clipboard, a folder, pill bottles, patient handout, paper and pen. I will need a patient volunteer and a healthcare professional volunteer for each scenario. I will give you each a script, and we'll begin practicing our communication skills for both sides of health literacy. We'll take the next few minutes to do this scenario. In scenario 1, we have Ms. Williams, a high school English teacher who had some medical testing done earlier in the week. She is on the phone with a friend one day after school. So from the scenario, what kind of news did Mrs. Williams receive? And what could have been done better? In our second scenario, we have a Miss Jones, who's a clerk at a local grocery store. She has high blood pressure, so let's listen in to part of her recent clinical visit. And the kind of questions that we would ask is, what kind of response did the patient receive? And if we play the scenario out a different way, what kind of response will we get the second time? She was pretty irate. And lastly, in our third scenario, Mrs. Sweet has recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. She's had some blood work done, and this is her follow-up visit. But before her visit, she wrote down some questions that she had. As you can see, the third scenario worked out much better. She took notes and she asked additional questions. Although there are some things that could be better, it was pretty good. Okay, so as we prepare to move towards becoming a health literate organization, we will meet again in the upcoming weeks. In the meantime, all of you have some homework. I will send this link in a follow-up email. Everyone is required to take the initial course offered by the CDC entitled Health Literacy for Public Health Professionals, WB2364. Again, I'll send it all in the email later. When you complete the course, you will receive a certificate. Please forward that certificate to my email address. Again, I thank you all for taking these initial steps to create a health literate organization. I look forward to working with all of you as we become literacy ambassadors for our community. Thank you and have a nice day.